Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge of the Brawler Cafe. We are on day 3, so that means it is time to go into Darkus. So let's get started. I've already went over all the basics of how this works in the previous videos, so if you haven't watched those, I'm not going to explain it again here, just go watch those. So, let's begin. So, first up with the actions. First up we have Baku Crusher, 3 costs for plus 300B and plus 3 damage. This is bad, it's barely on par with the split stat gain, and the split stat gain is not good, especially when it's evenly split what its par value here. Max React is 2 costs for plus 2 damage and plus Shadow Strike. And Sync, you can reveal a card in your hand that costs 2 energy for plus 5 damage instead. This is very similar to the Sacrifice Shadow Strike card from way back in set 1, and we didn't use that, so we're not going to use this either. Especially considering next set we're going to get a 1-cost Shadow Strike card, or is that the set after? Actually, yeah, that's the set after. That's in Shields of Destroya. But beyond that, we have gear in this set that gives Shadow Strike, and that is much better, and less expensive. Shake and Break. This is for Rapid Fire, 5 cost, Rapid Fire destroy a hero card. This would be pretty okay if this was super relevant. No, really, if Rapid Fire was good, because there's always heroes that your opponent is running, because heroes are the advantage engines. Shun, Dan, etc. The main problem with this is that Rapid Fire is an archetype, does not have enough battle-winning cards, so as an archetype, stuff like this just kind of falls, because obviously it's not worth playing on its own. It's not worth when you're only using Rapid Fire as part of your deck instead of the primary engine, like in Rapid Fire Fury. Then there isn't space for something like this, and also Fury doesn't want it. Though on the other hand, there's also the fact that Rapid Fire very much seems to be designed like an aggro deck with lots of damage boosting. So a hero destroying effect like this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in the first place. You know, Darkus Slice, this is 1 cost for plus 200B. This is one of several cards in this set that are just a previous card with a new name. This is, I believe, Prismatic Shield from set 1. It wasn't good then, and it's not good now. We can get 500B differential for 1 cost. No thank you. Oh, Shadow Ambush, my favorite card from this set. So this is 3 cost, plus 5 damage. And if another card causes you to reveal this card from your hand, you will walk on plus 2 damage. So this wouldn't be good to begin with. But here's the thing. There aren't sync cards that can reveal a 3 cost. The only sync card that can reveal this card is a hero that will be talked about a bit later. That can reveal another copy of a card you just played to allow you to draw a card. That is the only way to activate this on-reveal effect is through that. And this holds true through the next 2 sets. Because the next set, like, yes, we don't know everything from those sets, but we know, like, a significant amount. And those 2 sets have very focused sync support. The next set, Fusion Force, focuses on revealing cards that have 5 cost or higher. And the set after that, Shields of Destroya, has its sync support focused on revealing 2 costs. Neither of which Shadow Ambush falls into. And none of the random thrown about sync thresholds in this set can utilize this card either. So this card makes no sense. It is literally just like a useless card at an awesome rare slot that is clearly designed for a clear purpose within Sync, but can't be used by anything in Sync. Like, and the worst part is, even if this was activatable, it wouldn't be good. It's just damage boosts. Like, damage boosts are. That's not to say that damage isn't useful in any capacity, but it's not the sort of thing that you'd want. Like, I don't understand this card. I don't understand why this card was printed. Justin Gary, why did you print this card? What was this card's intended purpose? Did you just forget what cost your sync cards revealed? Is that what happened? Oh boy. Next we have Vice Cutter. 4 cost plus 500B. You may destroy one of your Baku gear for plus 5 damage. This is... So, with that destroy a Baku gear effect, it becomes par for a 5 cost with split stats. With destroying a Baku gear, this becomes the same card as Darkus, a card that I already said is garbage. I don't understand. Like, that is such a heavy cost that you have to pay there, because it's a Baku gear that has to be in play, and you get nothing out of it. You get nothing of worth out of it, and it's so highly costed too. Razor Tusk. This is the Darkus version of that cycle that of 2 cost cards that you play before rolling and gives a victor effect. This one is your opponent discards 2 cards. This is, as I recall, this is one of the better ones of these effects. But 2 costs that you have to invest before the battle begins will make it very difficult to get any victor effect off. So these are all not worth, but this is the closest, to be honest. Though also, if you're playing a deck that really wants to be hand controlling, your long game is stripping your opponent of their card advantage so that they can't fight against you, rather than having the capacity to win battles really easily in the early game to achieve those goals of discarding your opponent's hand. So a card like this that needs you to win a battle to discard cards from your opponent's hand is counterintuitive. It doesn't really work out. Darkus Storm. This is 5 cost for plus 11 damage. Barely above par, and it's a high cost damage booster. I think we all know where this goes. Tail Whip. This is Darkus Flip. 3 cost, stop Chaos or Ventus. Choose a player to discard a card. Utility flips are not worthwhile, especially when it's this overcosted for the effect. And stopping so few factions is going to be real big dead weight. Intimidation is the Darkus Flip hero. This is the lowest cost one, as I recall, 4 cost. But its effect is just when a player discards a card, give a Bakugan plus 2 damage. This is not the fact that sacrifice needed to become a worthwhile archetype. Needed something maybe B power related. That would have been helpful. Sacrifice isn't a part of sacrifice as a strategy isn't a part of a damage wins thing. Like, it was used as a part of it, but like as a dedicated strategy, it wouldn't likely be part of damage wins. And it needs to be power boosted. Damage boost here isn't cutting it. And here's that Sync hero I talked about earlier, Lightning Tail Chaser, 3 cost. Sync, you may reveal a card in your hand with the same name as the card you played to draw 1. I've talked about this quite a bit going through this set, and I'm going to talk about it quite a bit more because there's a bunch of heroes in this set that just do nothing until you do something else, and they're too highly costed for that. Like, this card is costed the same as Shun Kazami. And it requires you to play other cards and have a duplicate of an enhanced reveal to get the draw effect. That is not happening every turn. This should be lower costed. And here is the Shadow Strike gear that I talked about earlier as our first gear. Scorching Swords, 2 cost, plus Shadow Strike, plus 100B, and plus 1 damage. So this can become free. Yep, that's pretty solid. If you were to be utilizing something with Helix, this can have some value because it allows you to ignore your damage debuffs on your Helixes, which is pretty good. And also allows you to ignore a bunch of fantasy stuff, which are some really powerful cards. So that's valuable. Dark Helm is 3 costs for plus 200B, plus 2 damage. Very much not worth. Twilight Axis, This is 4 cost rapid fire gear, 4 plus 300B plus 3 damage. So in addition to being a pretty decent playoff of rapid fire because you're actually getting some beat power here, it is also decent as a rapid fire enabler because it is only 2 cost when played via gear reduction core. Hell, if you do some double core pickup shenanigans, you could even make this 0 cost, but that is probably not fitting into a rapid fire deck. The important part is that this is both a good play off of your rapid fire, a decent play off of your rapid fire, in addition to being a good rapid fire enabler itself due to its ease of becoming a 2 cost. Dark Daggers is 4 cost for plus 200B and plus 5 damage. Not very notable. Dark Sledge. This is 6 cost. When you play this, choose a player to discard 2 cards. Plus 300B and plus 6 damage. This is a fairly powerful card. The main problem with it is the cost is quite high. When you're running this card, you're typically running this in a deck that's revolving around those double core pickup strategies where you grab multiple gear reduction cores, and now you can play this for 2. This is very, very powerful when played for 2. At 4 cost, not so much. Like, it's just very similar to what hand control had before, and what hand control had before was not cutting it. When played for 2, very powerful card. And Darkus gets yet another quite powerful gear. Mecha Claws, 5 cost, that's not real. If you have no other cards in hand, if you're in Fury, you may play this for free. And it's plus 400B, plus 4 damage. Pretty decent gear, pretty strong gear. Plus 500B for free is like nothing to sneeze at all. And that's permanent. And you're getting a damage buff too. Like, just all around a very strong gear. Alright, on to the Evos. And character cards. Character cards first. So, first up we have Darkus Exhalator. This is 110 with double Green Fist. This isn't as affable as it first seems in AV format because 10 damage. These 10 damage guys they started getting released in what? Age of Auroras, I think? I want to say. And really we were waiting for one of them to come to Pyrus or Darkus. Because those are the damage wins factions. And you can throw this on a spare Flaming Fist for 16 damage. Very, very high. Pyrus also gets some of this set that we'll talk about. But at the time of early AV, which this did not come out. This did not come out until late AV. But Darkus was lacking in good beat power Bakugan, but Pyrus was not so much. So Darkus was the faction we really wanted this for. And Pyrus also had options like Serpentine Ultra, Face Rock, stuff like that. We're just better balanced, and so that made it so that it was preferred for this thing to be something in Darkus rather than in Pyrus. Next up we have Darkus Dragonoid Ultra, which is hilarious. This is a Shield Flaming Fist Bakugan with 503 and gets plus 200B plus 4 damage on Flaming Fist, which means it becomes a 950 with 10 damage. If you go on a plus 6 Flaming Fist, that's 13 damage. And then it evolves for 2 cost and loses its effect and becomes a 708. And now on that Flaming Fist is hitting 1 higher damage and the same beat power. And as you now go on the shield instead. This Bakugan is baffling. There's nothing really to say here. This Bakugan is just baffling. Like, you pay 2 for basically nothing and you lose an effect. Like, what is even happening here? Darkus Dragonoid Core is 306 with a magic shield and orange shield. Caps at 950B. No thank you. Darkus Enoch Ultra. This was what we thought was going to be the cap boy for Darkus, but we would later find out was not. But this is Magic Shield and Green Fist, 704, so it hits 1350. Its Evo is nothing impressive because it's a diamond, and so it's just a big fat stat blob. 9 cost for 1404. Like, you're paying 9 for 700 B. Absolute garbage. Darkus Matrix Ultra is Orange Shield and Helix for 604. So it hits 1200 B, nothing impressive. Darkus Howlcore Core. This has a Diamond Evo. This has Flame Fist and Shield. 207. So this is just generally going to be worse than Darkus Exhalator because on a Flame Fist it hits the 13 damage that Exhalator hits on a Green Fist, and Exhalator can grab a Flame Fist to hit higher. Its Evo doesn't save it either. It's 5 cost for 900 B and 11 damage. Doesn't save it at all in the B power department. Doesn't increase the damage by a significant degree and is very, very expensive. Darkus Howlcore Ultra is Flame Fist, Magic Shield, 405. Super non-impressive. This is only hitting 1050 B or 11 damage. It's not hitting anything impressive in either department. Darkus Hydrus is 403 with Orange Shield and Green Fist. Yeah, this is not impressive at all either. It's only hitting 800 B. Darkus Hydrus Ultra. This one does actually have an Evo. Still not anything impressive, by the way. Green Fist and Orange Shield, 604, so it hits 1000, and its Evo is 3 cost, but that's not real. It's a Rapid Fire Evo, so you play it for free via Rapid Fire. How much stats do you get? You get plus 100 B, plus 3 damage, and Shadow Strike. Absolutely abysmal. Even after its free evolution, it's only hitting 1100. It's 400 below Aqua's Hydrus. It's 350 below competition in base forms in its own faction. Like, it's nothing. You are not using this Bakugan. It's trash. Darkus Seamoga. Is this Seamoga going to be good? No. It is 307 with double Orange Shield. Caps at 700. Oh boy. Darkus Nilius Core. So, this has an Evo. This has 2 Evos actually. We'll talk about the bad one first. So, this base is Orange Shield and Flame Fist, 405. Its Diamond Evo is 4 cost for 612. Barely any stat gain in the B power. It's just a big damage blob, and there are much better things for that. much better things for that. So you're not using this for that. Its real Evo is Maximus Nilius, 8 cost, but that's not real because this is a Rapid Fire Evo. 1407, so it gains 1000 B and 2 damage for basically free. At the end of any turn you play it for free, though, it returns to hand. So that's a bit of a drawback. Honestly, I really don't think that was necessary. I don't really know why they did that. I don't know why they thought that drawback was necessary, because you were printing Bakugan in this same set that hit 1500 B base. You were printing several 800 B base forms with magic shields. Like, I really don't understand why it was thought that this just coming out for free and staying there would be a problem that needed a balancing mechanic. This would be a lot better if it didn't have that. It would be a lot more viable. It's still pretty solid. If you borrow a magic shield from something that's hitting 2050, and it's coming out for free, but the fact that you have to play it back down every time you want to use it can really cut into Rapid Fire's viability. Can really cut into how many usable cards you have. So it's solid, and the damage numbers it's hitting are decent. Like 5 damage with Flame Fist is basically the threshold minimum you need. But it's just, I really don't understand why it needs to return to hand. I really don't understand. It would be so much better if it didn't have to return to hand. If you could just set it up turn 1 and then never have to worry about it again. It's just there. It's just there at that number. You don't have to waste your Rapid Fire procs on Maximus Nilius on future turns. It's just kind of frustrating, actually, considering like the obscene amounts of power creep in base forms going on in this set, and this has to have this drawback here. Like, it's silly. It's silly, to put it mildly. Darkus Nilius Ultra is Orange Shield and Green Fist. It gets an additional plus 200B on Orange Shield, and Green Fist it gets additional plus 2 damage with 603. So it's hitting 1200 on Orange Shield, which is higher than basically any other Orange Shield Bakugan, but still not impressive. Still not good enough. Yeah, but this is a Nilius Ultra, which means it has the double core pickup capacity, so that's something to keep in mind. But other than that, it's like, it's 1200. There are better Nilius Ultras, trust me. There are significantly better Nilius Ultras that you can run for gear cheating strategies. Darkus Pegatrix Core, this one also has an Evo. So this is 304 with Green Fist and Orange Shield. It's only hitting 700, nothing impressive. Its Evo Hyper Pegatrix is 3 cost. It goes up to 605, so really not much in stat gain. And its effect is when you attach a Baku gear to this, each player discards 2 cards. So additional requirement on top of still having horrible stats. And it's not even just your opponent discards 2 cards. You have to discard 2 cards as well. Like, okay, I guess. Sure. That's definitely not bad. Like, if we had good discard fodders, this might be something. But still has trash stats that would make it like complete dead weight on a team. Just your opponent completely able to pick it off and just bully you on it for the whole game. Like, just not good. Darkus Pegatrix Ultra, this is Orange Shield and Green Fist. 703, it caps at 1100. Not good. Darkus Cyrus Ultra, this is actually of note. This is 405 with double magic shield. And it is the first Darkus, to my recollection, that has 2 magic shields. So that's notable. Much better stats than previous double magic shielders at 405. But it still counts at 1050. And Ventus has a double good core Bakugan, Magic Shield and Helix in its case, that blows all of the competition in this category out of the water. This does not hold up to that at all. So if you're going to go for that sort of thing, you typically want to go for that Ventus Bakugan. Darkus Skeletor Ultra is 502 with double Green Fist. Caps at 650. Nothing impressive. Darkus Feral, this has an Evo. This is 605 with Helix and Green Fist. So it hits 1200B, which is not notable, but hey, it's an okay starting point. It's an okay starting point. Its Evo is 5 costs. 1205 with the sync effect. When it opens, you may reveal an Evo in your hand for plus damage equal to that Evo's damage. Now this is much more expensive than it has a right to be with that effect. However, a sync on open effect in a Baku Rider based strategy had quite a bit of potential, because you can basically turn that into on open plus 300, which could be quite powerful if sync had not shifted in a direction where there wouldn't be space at all for Baku Rider, and you'd rather just use the strongest base forms instead of going for an on-open sync proc. But hey, don't worry about it. Darkus Strider's Ultra, double Green Fist, 603, caps at 750, nothing impressive. Darkus Trox, this is double Green Fist, 703, caps at 850, nothing impressive, again. Darkus Trox Ultra, this at least has an Evo. So it is 703 with Orange Shield and Green Fist, so it caps at 1100, and its Evo is 3 cost, goes up to 1003, and when this has a Baku gear attached, plus 6 damage and Shadow Strike. Honestly, not good enough. This damage-wise, this is worse than base forms we can be going for. Doesn't even come with the Flaming Fist itself. Its Evo is 3. There are better ways to gain Shadow Strike, and its B power is super unimpressive even when evolved. So, nothing of note. And lastly, the last Bakugan on the lineup is Darkus's real powerhouse. This came out in like wave 3, I think? It came out in a battle pack. It's locked behind a battle pack. That's what you need to know. The best Darkus is locked behind a $30 battle pack. So this is Darkus Ramparian Ultra, Orange Shield, Magic Shield, and it has 802. So it hits 1450. And on top of that, a lot of the 1450s have their secondary core as a green fist, but this has an orange shield, which is significantly more usable as a backup core at 400B. So yeah, that's Darkus Ramparian Ultra. That's the Darkus you want. That's the Darkus you want, really. So in summation, what Darkus things are good? Well, none of the action cards, let me tell you that right now. None of the flips. None of the heroes. The only Bakugan that are worthwhile here is Darkus Ramparian Ultra, and maybe one day Darkus Cyrus Ultra. Would probably need a good Evo. So the good stuff for Darkus really is just gear. Shadow Strike gear, Scorching Swords is pretty okay, but on a note of this card, I feel it's important to mention that Fusion Force has a strictly power creep version of this gear that is plus 200B and the same in every other aspect. 2 cost, plus Shadow Strike, plus 1 damage. It just gives more B power for the exact same cost. So primary, that would be better as a primary Shadow Strike gear, but if you were building a deck that really wanted that Shadow Strike, this is decent as a secondary. Twilight Axes, I've gone over why already. It's a good rapid fire payoff and enabler. Dark Sledges in gear reduction decks, very powerful discard card, gives you a pretty decent amount of stats as well. And unlike most beat damage primarily boosting core gear, still gives a pretty decent amount of V power. And Mecha Claws, the Fury gear that's in Darkus. Very, very good if Fury wasn't going by the wayside. Or Fury wasn't to be mixing with Rapid Fire in this set, and thus having access to the much easier to access Twilight Axes. But Mecha Claws is still a good card if you were going for like a more pure Fury build. And that's all for this set. That's all for this set for Darkus. That's it. That's all. They just got some good gear, basically. They got some new gear and they were kept up with the stat creep. At wave 3, I believe. Not in wave 1, in wave 3. But with that said, that is all for today. Tomorrow we will be going into Chaos. So I'll see you guys there. And this is Hunter Surge signing off.